Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Surf Facility performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barri. Now, we're lucky today to be joined once again by Quentin D'Souza. Hey, Quentin, how you doing, man?
I'm good. You
made it through round one, right? You made it through the first piece, so we're going to get ready for the second piece. So before we do that, do you want to give us a high-level introduction, just a quick introduction to who you are and what you've been up to? And I recommend if people are just listening to this one, go back and listen to the first one because that was a brilliant interview. And, you know, there's a lot of great stuff in that one. But just a high-level introduction to you before we dive into what we're going to talk about today.
Sure. So I started in 2004. We're in 2021. I've got about 80 million in assets that I own. I own with partners. I have, a large percentage of that is mine. And, I've done a lot in real estate. I've written 4 books. I used to do coaching and stuff like that. And I enjoy talking about real estate because my family is tired of listening to me talk to them about it.
Same here, same here. My friends as well. This is brilliant. So you said the books, right? But one of the things we're going to talk about today essentially is your latest book that you have out, right? What is the name of the book and where can people find it first and foremost?
Yeah, it's the Action Taker Real Estate Investing Planner, and they can find it on Amazon. I actually wrote the book based on all the templates that I would use for my coaching program, but I stopped doing coaching at the beginning of January to focus on my real estate portfolio. And funny enough, I doubled my portfolio size from 40 million to 80 million by just focusing on my real estate rather than the coaching. I was starting to feel like coaching was becoming too much of a, like I was doing house flipping before. I felt like I was taking so much time doing it, and I enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, but I felt like it was becoming very consuming for me and taking away from the time from my family, and that was not the point of doing this at all. So I decided to stop in January. Asked people to move on, and and I was it was. Like I had 12 people that I would charge $750 for group coaching each, 1,500 for one-on-one. I would have like 4 or 5 people a month that are doing, like, it was a very lucrative income source, but I never needed it, right? Like my real estate portfolio I was building over that time. And one of the strategies that I've always shared people is when you're building your portfolio, take a look at the income sources that you have and list them out. So if you have like a job income, let's say that's $2,000 a month, or let's say $4,000 a month, and then you have your real estate portfolio at $4,000 a month, and then you have book sales at $100 a month, and whatever it is, right? What happens is that if you can cross off one of those income sources and still be totally fine, you are developing, that strength of your real estate portfolio. The problem is most people, when they cross off the salary, they're in trouble. They got nothing, right? They're in trouble. They can't do it. They have to look for another job, right? But if you have and you build your real estate portfolio, and you can also start to build other streams of income or do different things, you can be, move from self-employed or employed to, a business owner or as an investor. You can create those, that Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant is really, important for that. And if you can do that, you can cross off one of those. You can decide that coaching just doesn't work for you, and you can go and do something else. And that's, like, for me, it's been really good. And I've created even more income than from the real estate portfolio that was generated. So it's pretty cool, like to be able to do that. And like I said, I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm getting going. I'm just getting good. So
That's good. Yeah. And then, so in the book, you said there's 2 parts, right? One is sort of the mindset stuff of it. And then the second part is, the planning side of it stuff, right? And maybe talk to us about the planning side of it. Why you think planning is important, and then how people should go about planning, setting goals, setting weekly, monthly, yearly, plans for that?
Yeah, most people like they plan their vacation more than they plan their life, right? They honestly like 2 weeks is like more than they'll spend on like aspirations for themselves. So what I often say is that you do 10-year goals, like write down your 10-year goals in different areas of your life. So not just financial goals, but family goals, like health goals, other goals like that. So put those 10-year goals and write them down, or visualize them in some way. Maybe, some people like to do like a vision board. Other people like to do, so you want to have those big 10-year goals, right? And, and then what I suggest is you bring that down to a 3-year goal, right? So that something just out of reach from where you are now, but you're thinking 3 years out, what can I do, right? And then I suggest you do not do annual goals. So you do not do annual goals. You just do 90-day goals. Okay. And so the idea behind that is that you're looking at your 3-year, but you're coming up with 90-day chunks that are getting you to your 3-year goal. And that would be your quarterly plan. I actually I do this. I have a quarterly plan on my, like right beside me on my desk, right? And that quarterly plan is broken up into 3 focuses every quarter. So I focus on, like, it could be increasing cash flow by $1,000, or it could be increasing intergenerational planning, right? Working on primary wills, secondary wills, tax planning, whatever it is. So I'll have different main areas that I'm focused on. Then I'm focused on each quarter, I'm focused on goals around finding properties, funding properties, or financing properties. And I write that out in my quarterly plan. Then I have a quarterly challenge. So every quarter I have a challenge that I challenge myself to do. And a challenge is like taking you out of your comfort zone. Like a challenge is, it has to make your stomach uncomfortable. Like, that roller coaster feeling that you get, it's got to be like one of those, right? That's a challenge. If it's not that, then it's not a challenge, right? It's not easy. And then I'll have quarterly goals around delegation. What do I want to delegate away from myself this quarter? What systems and processes am I working on? Who are my centers of influence that I'm working on this quarter? So the centers of influence connect to people finding funding and financing, right? There are people that can help me to do that, identify who they are, and I like by name. Like I actually have their names, and my goal is to go out for lunch with them, to talk to them, to connect with them in a way that's deeper than just like an email, right? And I do that. Like I realize that real estate is a relationship business. It's not a bricks and mortar type of business, right? So although most people think that that's only that's the result, but it's not it's not it's not what gets you there, right? And then I'm focusing on what am I doing for time freedom? What am I doing for financial freedom? What am I doing for location freedom? And what am I doing for thought freedom? So that's all part of my quarterly plan, right? Because those are the areas that I'm focused on. I also do like a net worth analysis. So I look at where my net worth is, and then I do that a circle of life activity where I don't know if you've ever done that before, where you have your life broken down into different parts in a big circle, and then you rate yourself from 1 to 10, and you can see, like, are your finances a 1 or a 10? Is your health a 1 or a 10? And you can kind of see that on a wheel when you break it down into parts, and you can see what your wheel is like, and maybe something is really out of balance when you do that. Like I did it once, and my health was like really bad, right? But my finances were awesome. Well, like, I mean, I can't enjoy my finances from the grave. Like I can't be the richest person in the cemetery, right? So I had to change. So my quarterly plan goals then were to work on, I worked on losing 100 pounds over a year. So it was a lot of work. I changed my diet a lot. I started to run and walk all the time, but I did it. And one of my, like when I set this goal, this was probably four years ago when I did my 10-year plans again. I usually refresh them, right? But I had set 4 years ago to run a marathon. If you saw me, Barry, like there's no way, like 330 pounds, like I would never have run a marathon. Last year I ran a marathon. Like, and I mean, I started with a 10K, moved did a couple of 10Ks, actually did a half marathon, and then I did a full marathon. But it was looking at that circle activity and saying to myself, man, I don't want to be the richest man in the cemetery. And so then the other piece of the planning piece is to take your quarterly plans, and then I have a weekly plan. Actually, it's on my desk right beside me. And in my weekly plan, again, I look at my priorities, my quarterly plan. What am I doing this week that's kind of like an activity that I've been procrastinating on? So I actually label it like, so this week I'm dealing with some investors in a property. So I've got that as my activity, because somebody's doing something that I thought like they should be coming to me. Why are you going to talk to other people? So I'm dealing with that. I also have on my weekly plan, what am I doing for finding, funding, and financing this week? Because every week I work on those three things all the time, right? What am I delegating this week? What am I celebrating this week? Always celebrate something. Sometimes it's simple, like going to my son's baseball games. They both play baseball. I love going to baseball games and watching them play and eating spits and just like hanging out with them. And it's great. So what are you celebrating, right? Because we have to remember why we're doing all of this stuff. It's more than just accumulating like money and net worth. It's about like what is your big why are you doing this, right? And so those are some of the things that I include in my planning process. The book, half the book is like how to use the planner, and the other half is the actual planner and how to plan out your week, how to plan out your quarter, and how to do those big picture planning. And it's all specific for real estate investors. And I used it for coaching clients when I worked with them. But like I said, I don't do that anymore. So I just put it all in the book and I made it available for everybody.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And obviously, anyone who's interested in this should definitely check out the book and get the book, and it'll help them with that. But a lot of that might seem, there's a lot that's gone in there, and I'm sure you just didn't start out where you are with planning now, right? There's a lot that's in there, and that's awesome that you're out where you are. But for someone who's like maybe doesn't do any planning whatsoever, right? Where there's some very basic steps that maybe they can start in the next day or two or week to start planning their life a lot better and have that initial conversation with themselves about where they want to be and the planning that they need to go into that.
So pick three things that you're going to work on this week. So 3 things, that's all. So pick 3 things that you're going to work on this week, and then find an accountability partner, somebody who you can talk to. They don't have to coach you. They don't have to do anything. All you need to do is tell them what you're working on this week. And then the next week, you're going to say, this is what I got finished from the 3 goals from last week. And this is what I'm working on this week for these 3 goals. Now, you're going to annoy yourself if you keep telling the person that I didn't accomplish this last week, and now I'm not doing it this week, and now I'm not doing it, right? So just having that accountability partner, find anybody. They don't even have to be real estate. Like, all you have to do is find somebody who's also goal oriented, somebody who actually wants to do something in their business, and just help each other by becoming each other's accountability partner. You can do this by going to a meetup group and finding other people who are in the same space as you in real estate, or if you just have a friend that you explain this process to. I think that's a great way of starting. I spent a ton of money on coaching myself. Like I went to through Strategic Coach, which is Dan Sullivan. I mean, it's a very prestigious program for entrepreneurs. I did Pro Coach, which was another program, that a business coaching program. I'm part of the entrepreneur organization. Like I learned from a lot of people, and I've learned what works for me as a real estate investor, and that's what I put together in the book. But that's the point, right? Like I've invested in myself, and I think like if you want to accomplish any, like I'm just a person. Like I'm not like a super person. Like I mean, I'm just a person. Anybody can do this. Like real estate is simple. It's just not easy, right? It's the process is simple, but like there's so many challenges that come up. You just have to keep at it, and you can do it. And having good planning and having good habits around goal setting really can help to supercharge the process. And you will be absolutely surprised by using quarterly goals and having a 3-year, not a 1 year, but a 3-year goal that you're working on, how fast you're going to achieve it. You are going to shock yourself. And then you're going to have to go and put new goals for yourself, because it's a different way of doing it. Most people do like, what happens is that like New Year's happens, and then they set these resolutions, and they make these resolutions in January, and then they work on them for like a week or a few weeks, and then they look at them in November or December and say, what happened, right? Because it's too far. Like we need to focus on 90 days. We need to focus on 3 months. If we focus there, we're able to get that done. It's a lot easier for us to do. And when we break it down to that level, it'll really help us to achieve our goals faster.
Yeah, and it's just like everything, right? Everything is habits and routines, and more than anything special, right? It's that you've just worked hard to nurture those habits, worked hard to, build those routines that you have, and to have those planning, and to have things in place that hold you accountable. It's so much of that more than any kind of brilliance, right? And I'm not saying that you're not brilliant, because clearly you are to build a portfolio that you have, but it's like you said, everyone can do it essentially, right? And I love the saying about that real estate. It's not it's what's the saying? It's not simple, but say it again.
It's simple, but it's not easy.
There we go. So I was having so much trouble. It's simple, but not easy, right? And I think that's what everyone should remember, and that everyone can do it. And it's just going out there and figuring out this stuff and actually doing it and sticking to it. And, I think your book is a brilliant place for anyone who wants to start out.
Yeah, what's funny is that you see it like on Facebook, like you always see the result. Like when I was running that marathon, I was happy to post the picture of the final like finish line, but nobody saw all the days that I was running in snowstorms. Like when I was like waking up and running through the rain, like waking up at 6 a.m. and I was cold, and I did it anyways. Nobody sees all the, like we only see these highlights in Facebook and all these places. Nobody sees all the hard work that all of the stuff that makes it not easy to get you to that finish line, right? And I think we can't forget that if you want something, you have to work at it. But the beautiful thing that we have, like in these, like in North America, in the United States, in Canada, like if you work hard, you can do anything. Like everything is a possibility. We're not limited. Like we have so much opportunity here, and you know what? We shouldn't never forget that, right? Like we have the opportunity. We can do anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for this second part. It's been brilliant. I think, like you said, planning is so important, and understanding that and how to go about it. And so I recommend anyone who's interested in this, they should go check out the book. What's the name of the book again for anyone?
It's the Action Taker Real Estate Investing Planner, Quentin D'Souza.
Go check that out, guys. It's available on Amazon. But if people outside of the book, if people want to get in touch with you, people want to find out more about what you've got going on, how can they do so?
Yeah, Instagram or Twitter, you can catch me at QmanREI. That's the easiest one, or you can email me at Quentin, Quentin @getrealwealthy.com, and I'm happy to connect with you. And hopefully, I really enjoy these conversations talking about real estate, and I hope I inspire a few people to get out there and get things done, and get off their butts.
Absolutely. Well, you inspired me, if nobody else. So thank you so much, man. This was an awesome interview. Thank you.
And it's an honor to chat with you, Barry. I'm like, you're such an inspiration. So and I've never met anybody that has their own like wrestling like doll.
Action figure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's my first. So I'm happy to chat with you.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Well, have an awesome rest of your day out there in Ontario.
All right, thanks.